Hi and welcome to today's Forex Market Outlook with me, John Kibler, Head Currency Analyst. In this video, we are going to be going through the Forex Market Outlook and we're going to look at our strength and weakness table and identify a currency pair of interest. So what we can see here is Euro is starting to lose a little bit of ground again. It's -2, and I actually quite like the idea of selling Euro against, in particular, the yen and the US dollar. Now, the US dollar still remaining at -4, hasn't really pushed into the -6 or the -5 area, which we would have liked to have seen for a bit of a reversal. But we know by the dollar index, the fact that the market is at support, we could still see that dollar gain a little bit of value. Aussie still remaining at -6, so still on the cards for those Aussie shorts. But what I'm going to focus on today is those major currency pairs, and then I'm going to take a look at Euro Yen. Okay, so Euro Yen is looking quite good for some downside. So I've already put some zones and charts and zones on the chart, so we can identify those, and we'll go through a little bit about what we could see on that chart in particular. So let's just clear these drawings off and let's head straight on to some charts of interest. So let's start with the dollar index. So if you actually take a look at the weekly, we had a nice weekly bullish close here. Take a look at that daily time frame. We can see that price has actually made a nice little move in here, forming a higher high. So that does suggest that we are going to get that pullback that we're looking for into this sort of range lows through here, with the first sort of low being around about that 98.56. So what I'm expecting is that price to continue and head towards those lows. So we could see a little bit of a pullback continuation move, something like that. On the lower time frames, but I'm still looking for the dollar to basically continue this retracement phase. So if we actually look at the 4-hour time frame, we can see here as well, price is starting to make higher highs and higher lows. So looking for those key sort of areas to continue for that market to push up on this time frame in particular. So going down on Euro, we'll see something very, very similar. We'll see the fact that the market came into this big area. We had this inverse head and shoulders pattern. The market then, we wanted to start seeing form some lower lows, and that's what we've got recently through here. So I'm looking for that downside to continue on Euro. So if we take a look at the daily time frame as well, we can actually see that the market broke through a daily low, which is this one through there. So when the daily starts forming those lower lows, we know that we're really in that retracement phase now, and we want to be looking for the market to pull back down. So where could price pull back to? Now, the most ideal would obviously be these previous structure highs and this breakout area around about that 1.1. That to me is an area of real interest, because we had this range and the market was capped at these two sorts of points through here. So I do like the idea of price coming and retesting that point through there. So what that would take would maybe be a huge move to the downside on the case of Euro, or a nice pullback continuation move is what we're going to be looking to identify here on Euro US dollar going into this week. So if we look at the 4-hour, there's obviously a bit of an area where the market does like to kind of break and retest, which is that 112.20 sort of area. So this area is quite a nice area to continue to look for. So what I'd like to see is a bit of more of a pull down, a bit more of a pullback then, and then start looking for those shorts, especially on Euro US dollar, because we can see that from the dollar index, price is starting to create that retracement phase. So I do quite like the move through here. Jumping on pound as well. Pound, you can see that 4-hour trend very much to the downside. We had a bit of a pullback. We were looking to potentially buy pound, and it gave us a false breakout, which wasn't what we wanted to see. Price has now made a new low, so my bias has changed slightly on pound, that we should potentially be looking for some downside here, especially against the US dollar. And again, look at this daily time frame. At the time, we were making those higher highs, but now everything has changed. We've now created a new lower low on the daily time frame. So that really does cement to me the idea that price could start pushing a little bit lower. Maybe you'll see price come and retest this 121 area where price found support before. So what I'd be looking to do from this point of view is looking at potentially this daily swing low, is that going to be retested? Are we going to start pushing back to the downside? So anything like that would be of interest to me going into next week. So if I go down to that 4 hour, you can see a nice little pullback into this zone, right about that 125 area, and then looking for that continuation to the downside. Aussie still on the list to go short, obviously, from the strength and weakness table. It hasn't really shown us much to get going. It is forming that lower high. It is kind of showing us that bearish candlestick sentiment, but the 4 hours been a little bit choppy. It's been a bit all over the place. So what I'd like to actually see going into this week, if I just remove a few things actually, let's get rid of all this stuff up here. Okay, because the market is kind of looking at that 4 hour sort of range through there, what I'd really like to see is the market start forming those lower lows. So if we get a break of all these lows through here going early into next week, we could look for that pullback continuation trade into that 0.67, which we've been talking about for the past few weeks now. So still on that Aussie short. Still looking for that price to push to the downside, so hopefully we can get that this week. The markets have been a little bit range bound, which has been unfortunate for us, but looking for that to play out going into next week. So let's look at the chart of interest, so Euro Yen, and I really like this chart because of multiple different reasons. So if we actually go into the monthly now, I don't really like looking at the monthly straight away just because of where we are in the month. So the monthly candle hasn't closed, but I've highlighted it because it's important to look at where price is actually finding a bit of resistance. So we've got the previous structure highs for one, which is this double bottom neckline area, and price is finding resistance here, so that's a good sign that price could drop. It's also this major zone through here where the market has found some support and resistance in the past, so we've actually seen price break through it and reject it. So that to me is a good sign that price could continue down for the rest of the month, which is good for some shorting opportunities and in line with the strength and weakness table. If we then go to the weekly, we can see it's a bit, you can see that in a little bit more detail. We've got that false breakout. Weeklies continue to be bearish. Can we see that drop to the downside? Go to that daily time frame, you can see price is starting to make lower lows again, so nice little break there of trend, so all pointing to the downside. I've placed first targets here in terms of if we were to get short, this would be the area I'm looking to target, that 118, because that is a previous breakout on the daily that hasn't been retested yet. So what I'm essentially saying is I want to see price retrace and push lower to this area where price could find some support, maybe then break through and head to the lower zone. That's what I'm kind of looking to identify here on Euro Yen. If we go to that 4 hour, then we can see that the trend is very much starting to push to the downside. We are really getting those lower lows, lower highs. We had a bit of a complex pullback here, but price failed to make any significant higher highs. We break down and the market's continuing to push lower again. So what I actually want to see is maybe another little bit of a drive down, a pullback, maybe even double bottom pattern, double top pattern, sorry, at this level, in this key resistance zone, and then look to short it into that sort of 118 area. If price obviously continues, you can hold down into that sort of 116.50, but that's what I quite like here on Euro Yen. You can see that the trend is down. Even if I bring in my 50 moving average, you can see price sorry, not the 250, is now trading below that 50, which is also a good sign that we are seeing that trend starting to change and push to the downside. So yeah, quite like Euro Yen for some shorting opportunities, to be honest. It's a good chart to continue to watch going into this week. Pretty much the chart of the week from the strength and weakness table. I hope you enjoyed this video update, and I will catch you in the next one. Cheers.